We appreciate all the support for War Room Georgia. We're changing up our website. Make sure you guys visit the news link on there. We got Georgia news, we got national news, and a whole lot more. Right after this, we're going to have the college Republicans from Gwinnett.
Taking on the establishment head on. It's War Room Georgia with Antonio Jones.
All right, guys, many audio things going on here. We're trying to get it worked out. So now we got the guest on. They can't hear us, but we can hear them.
Yeah, I'm not hearing them.
Which is super strange. So basically we had the college Republicans of Gwinnett County want to bring them on here today to be able to have a conversation with them. Maybe we put them on the phone line, Roy. I know it's a lot of switching around. Goodness gracious. So I'm gonna reach out to them and say I'm gonna call them and we'll just have you on video. I couldn't get these guys on screen. But that's what we'll end up doing. So I wanted to have the young college Republicans to come on here. These guys are very American first. They're dialed into all of the different problems and issues that are going on just everywhere. So I wanted to bring them on so we can let their voice be heard and just kind of hear from them directly. They have a group and everything like that. So I'm going to call them by way of phone and we'll work it out that way.
Hello?
Yep. All right, so we decided to go ahead and just call you, Brady. I don't know what's going on with the video side of this situation because we didn't want to miss an opportunity to have you guys on here and let your voices be heard. So the College Republicans, what's the official name of your organization and why did you guys get it started?
So we are actually the College Republicans at Georgia Gwinnett College. And overall, primarily the main focus of the organization and student registered organization at a whole is pushing the America First message. There were previous chapters on the campus, but just due to the campus climate, unfortunately, everyone among the right wing, if you're a conservative, a Trump supporter, what have you, anyone on the fringe, your voice does not get heard at all and is ultimately suppressed. So I took it upon myself when I got elected president to not only unify the people that were already under us as a collective in terms of that messaging, but also recruitment as well, to let everybody know, not only on campus at Georgia Gwinnett College, but within the Gwinnett County area, Lawrenceville area, what have you, that there is a right-wing voice for them and it won't get suppressed. Because on campus at GGC, I know that you alluded to it earlier, and among others on your show have alluded to it earlier in terms of guests, there is a Young Democratic Socialist of America organization, RSO, group on campus, and it openly gets promoted along with the GGC Democrats. So that pretty much just gives you the summarization of it all. There is a abundance of far left and left voices, and there is no type of voice among the right wing at all in terms of student body or local people as well on top of the campus. So the entire campus, you're having a whole entire political demographic just getting suppressed.
So what do you think it might take to get more of your people that's around you in the college and of your age bracket and maybe even younger involved in what's going on? And I understand the suppression part is because the colleges, a lot of them, not all of them, but a majority of them, they have a left-wing agenda and it's all politically driven. So what would it take to get more people involved of your age, Brady?
Yes, sir. Certainly. Well, not only that, to hit on your last point, there are people. It may seem that academia may be a umbrella left wing organizations, but there are people among the admin, among the academia organizations that are even moderate to some instances, conservative to some instances. They just can't speak out because, like you said, like you hit on, it is a leftist organization. So you're pretty much handicapped from the first jump. But in terms of having the younger outreach and just the younger demographic in general, there are people that are in our age range that are in the early 20s, even younger than that want to be politically active, and they just can't for a multitude of reasons, unfortunately. But simply speaking here, the ultimate way that we are able to, give them an outlet, give them a voice in that instance is to just keep on spreading the message through alternative media. And I always say this, and I said this to you privately as well, that politics is all downstream from culture, and culture is all downstream from the media. And we could all come to the common agreement that the media has a monopoly on it. And there are alternative voices among the right that, like I said, may have gotten suppressed and have gotten suppressed as well. And if there is a monopolization on the media, those messages aren't going to get out there. So if we're able to use platforms alternatively, like your platform is a great example, prime example even, then you are able to at least give these people a voice and give these people a platform to let the political outsider, the non-informed voter, the younger demographic people that really don't care about politics, they just care about the price of gas and the price of rent increasing for them, and all of the just unbearable affordability issues that we honestly all face. It's more so a class issue if you boil it down to that, but just letting the younger demographic know that there is a voice for them. And if we're able to, like I said, take control or at least promote any sort of messaging on alternative platforms, because we don't need the mainstream media. We don't need the paper media. This isn't the early 2000s or the late 90s where you have to write an op-ed to get your message out there. You're able to push your message out there on a wide variety of platforms in the current year. And I do believe that is your best method to at least not only get your message out there, but to get a wide collective under you as well.
So you mentioned quite a few things of concern as far as, like, I guess amongst the youth, the affordability, maybe being able to buy a house one day. Is that amongst the prioritized concern that people of your age group may have? Or what are some things that you're hearing that they may want to see different, even people that may not be in the organization? But what are you hearing, like, on the streets as far as concern?
Well, I could firsthand tell you from a perspective that's of somebody who has not only door knocked and done the get out the vote campaigns, done the grassroots, boots on the floor type of work. The younger demographic, the elder demographic, they're fed up with all the affordability issues. They're fed up with the typical politicians that say that they're for the local demographic and their constituents, and they get in there and they're for the donor class. So it doesn't really matter what typical age that you are able to hit across. Everybody that is a local Gwinnetian, as you say here on this platform, everybody is affected. Everybody, from the school teachers to the local businessmen that own barbershops, everybody that I've talked to that is across all different party lines, that is on different ends of the political spectrum, you name it, they are all America first in one way or another. And it's just a matter of how we attack the common problem that we could all come under an agreement on. And it's just a matter of how we actually implement that strategy to attack that problem. And to answer your question, quite frankly, yes, the affordability issues that we all face, that everybody faces here on this call, and my vice president sitting next to me faces as well, we all face these issues. And it's just a matter of actually getting these people that are in the GOP, the state GOP, these elder GOP hawks that are clinging on to these titles, clinging on to these positions of power just for the benefits that it suits them, for their own self-interests, for their own donor class interests. There is no constituency with anybody locally, anybody in the younger demographic, anybody in the elder demographic. In my personal perspective, we have to focus on the people that are here, that are graduating high school, that are graduating these local state schools here in Georgia. We need to focus on the native Georgians. We need to focus on the actual native-born Americans here that are getting displaced. And my vice president as well, Francisco Martinez, has some things to say on that topic as well.
All right, but
Hey, how you doing,
hold on,
Antonio?
hold it. Before you go there, Roy, you got any thoughts or observations on what you just heard? Because I saw you nodding your head and eyebrows going up here.
Well, I'd like to add to it, and I appreciate you guys being on there. We desperately need young people to be coming up in the ranks, understanding the America First principles, regardless of what we have going on. I did want to touch on one thing they said. You know, this whole political structure used to be guarded by the media, and you had to work your way into the ranks. Like he was talking about, you had to create op-eds. We're now dealing in an age where normal people can have access to just the ideas of and get into the heads of other people just by doing the things that we do. And I think that we are changing that culture, because whereas so many of these things can be hidden and controlled, now they're losing that control structure. They're losing that narrative, as Hillary Clinton would say, that they desperately want to cling back to. And I think that's a beautiful thing whenever you can open up all of these doorways and bring the light in, and you're not just, they can't control us anymore. So we are peeling back the layers of like political establishment, structure, and changing that. And the young people, we're going to have to prop these people up and get them into these positions where we can truly make a difference.
That's right. All right, go ahead, Francisco. We know you've been waiting to let us know what's on your mind.
Hey, how you doing? So first off, I'm vice president of college Republicans at GGC. So what got me into politics was that we weren't seeing America first, especially with the demographic changing a lot, and it's affecting a lot of people, especially native people to this country, and they're literally putting them second to these illegal immigrants, the illegal demographic. So it does seem that we're not getting prioritized as Americans, but we're getting second class treatment instead of putting America first.
Yeah. Yep, that's what a lot of people see. And what's wrong with putting your own country first? I mean, I think a lot of the problems as far as financial problems, the inflation, all of that would go down. We saw where they got rid of Greg Bovino, and we had U.S. Attorney Jeff Clark on last week, who was a part of a mass deportations coalition where they wrote a 100-page document just laying out how the president can do this to get this thing ramped up. And they fired Greg Bovino. They pulled back the ICE agents out in Minnesota. And a lot of this stuff will go away, Roy. I mean, a lot of it is a simple supply and demand. We got people here that we are subsidizing that are getting free health care, food stamps, housing, clogging up the whole system. If you want to come into America, do it the right way. Respect the law.
And you want to talk about college, we're talking to the college kids in Gwinnett County. I have a daughter in college, and she's in her second year, getting ready to start, her third year. And when we first decided, she wanted to move off to college, and we told her that's perfectly fine. We'll do whatever we have to do. But we convinced her to stay because we had a very good local college that she could stay at home and do things. A lot of her friends went off to a college, and within 1 year, a lot of those kids were coming back to move it back into the house with mom and dad because they just could not afford it. This is where we're at now. I can't even imagine being in college, having to worry about all of the things that you're having to pay, and then worrying about trying to buy a house or even make a car payment right now. We are so lopsided in this country with our own people. This should be the number one priority outside of everything that our government seems to be focused on now. That we have real problems with getting our children educated and moving them into a world that no longer exists.
Yep, 1,000%. So, tell us a little bit more about your organization and what do you guys have coming up next, Francisco?
So currently in our organization, as we start the summer semester this beginning, we're trying to get more like-minded people that actually put America first instead of having foreign entities intrude on our political stances also in our government, whether it be federal or state level. So we want to find like-minded people who want to put America first, who want an actual change and not want, as Brady said or touched on, we don't want donor classes to be like prioritized. We want actual American citizens to get prioritized. So it's not racist, it's not bigoted as the left says. It's reality. And if anything, as we speak, H-1 visas need to be gone. We need to halt immigration as a whole, for example. And in all honesty, when it comes to the academia level, speaking to people personally, like big name schools like Georgia Tech, they're having H-1B visa students getting prioritized and getting like top academia students put on a wait list and then getting denied. But you're having H-1B visas and not having actual Georgians put on that priority list to get into that school. So we're seeing it at big level name schools in Georgia. So on top of that, I want to also touch on how illegal immigration is affecting not just us, but the future, basically. So a lot of illegal immigration affects us in such reasons such as they do not want to assimilate. For one, they have a high crime rate. They don't provide. My bad. But they don't provide as much as Native Americans do here that put America first. So honestly, looking at the crime statistics, I also want to touch up on how Governor Kemp stopped the raid on that Hyundai plant.
Yep.
That's right.
He did.
Pardon, you said
Yep. Yeah, no, I was saying we agree. That was a problem. I mean, if our elected leaders that's supposed to be executive branch supposed to make sure that the laws are faithfully executed, if they are not, which makes them the senior law enforcement agency in the actual state, even above the attorney general. If they're not doing it, it's like everybody's having a free for all, and we had the biggest raid, I think, in the country, Roy, or something like that with the Hyundai plant.
At the time. Mm-hmm.
And then Kemp flies overseas or something to make amends with the Korean people to say this is okay. What about the sovereign people in the state of Georgia who pay taxes? And this thing was sold to us, Roy, remember? Oh, this is going to be American jobs and all this other stuff. And it turned out to be something different. Yeah.
Rivian, and we had to put a Chocolate with billions of dollars. That you had this huge H-1B visa scandal that happened right here in corporate welfare, Georgia. And what did our government do? When the people exposed it, when people like Tory Branham brought it to light, instead they had to go and do emergency stop measures to kind of shove it up under the rug. Now, no wonder people think that we live in a corporate welfare state. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. And even the President Trump, remember the, I don't know, was it the Fox interview or something, some big interview he did? And he made a claim, well, people want them to go home, is what he said. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, he ran on mass deportations, Roy. I mean, just look at some of the rallies he had. So many people supported him because of mass deportations.
Well, that particular incident was something that was never supposed to be uncovered, and then when MAGA uncovered it, it was like oof, and they had to go into double time. So
because you're supposed to see the old establishment. You're supposed to just go into office and actually pretend like you're going to do something or pretend you're doing something, and then when the guy actually goes in there and does it, like Thomas Massey, like release the Epstein files and force it to be done. Now he's the problem. We're the problem. Yeah. You're not Make America Great Again anymore, Roy, because you wanted to find out who took advantage of and raped and trafficked and done away with young children. Mm-hmm. You're not a problem.
Well, it's all of the conflation that I constantly fight against. How this stuff gets conflated all into one when it's really not. And we need to remember these things. We need to remember what happened. Lest we forget that. What kind of craziness we went through with that Hyundai plant, lest we forget about the water fights that we had, those towns that lost 15 feet of their underground water supply, and now we've got data centers breathing down our neck. But we're just supposed to go along with this and just trust our leadership that we're doing the right thing. And I'm sorry,
No,
it doesn't work that way.
You're the enemy, Roy. I'm the enemy. We get rid of Thomas Massey or whatever, but Mark Zuckerberg spent $400 million to defeat Trump and steal the 2020 election. And all the even Jeff Clark from last week, all these people got rolled up for trying to stand up for the country. And then he has a steak dinner with Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, the tick man. Everybody's going to get bit by a tick, so you can't eat meat anymore. And they're going to have the another form of syphilis, I guess, in your body that makes your immune system go crazy and possibly kills you, ruin your quality of life. But these guys can come to the White House and have a steak dinner after all they've done.
Look at Fauci.
Yeah.
Look at the COVID. Look at Fauci. We're just supposed to sit back and just keep rah-rahing about this when the statute of limitations runs out on Fauci. And poor Rand Paul. Really, I love Rand Paul. The man's been fighting for years, but it's the same thing that we've been getting since early 2025 is, hey, there might be an arrest. Hey, we might find everything from election integrity, COVID, you name it. Now the statute of limitations run out, the auto pen. We're just supposed to forget about all of these things and people want to look at me and go, well, what are you upset about? We're just of course we're in much better position with Trump in the White House, but my goodness, where are all of these campaign promises? I'm not the one who promised these things. I'm not even sad that we're at where we're at right now, but you cannot just pretend like we've had these major victories because we haven't.
Yeah. And I bring this up and these guys being on this call with us today, these guys are really dialed in on the issues, know what's going on. If you want to get an honest response, I know these guys are grown men now. They're kids probably to us or whatever the case may be. And I know they know that's no disrespect to them and where they are in their life right now. But if you want an honest opinion, what do? You ask a kid. You ask a child.
There you go.
All of these things that we've seen not get done, you can't fool this next generation. These guys are out here. They see their lives and their future being ruined. And they want to do something about it. And I'm not going to sit on a podcast and go to a meeting and do a speech and lie to lie to the youth to get them to come into the party and say, you know what, let's get the Republicans and let's just vote for an R. No.
Right.
What do you believe? What are you going to stand up for? And where are you fighting to take us? If you can't answer those questions and they don't line up and it can't be a deliverable for these young guys that we got on this call today with us, then I'm not going out there and lying to these guys. We got to point out the corruption, Roy, and we got to call balls and strikes.
That's right. And it doesn't mean that we're just giving up either. That because we care so much about what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'll put it to you this way. Most of what is going on right now currently with our government is irrelevant to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's relevant to me. It's become irrelevant because I'm not going to sit here and wince over Iran and whether the strait is open or closed. All of this stuff is going to affect us. It's going to affect the entire world. But I am only interested in what we're doing to correct the wrongs of America first. What are we going to move on now? And if you look at the track record, there's not very much out there that's America first right now. Yes, we have wins. We had wins last night. There's a bunch of people that are sent packing from Congress. All right, this is not all about Thomas Massey, but in the grand scheme of things, unless we're down to where we're back down to Doge, we're prosecuting people who are ripping us off. We're decreasing and balancing our budget. We're fixing our taxes, our election integrity. I'm really not even interested.
So Roy, let me get Francisco back in here. So,
yes.
Pardon us, Francisco. We just had a tag team rant. I guess where we gave each other's high five. So, what are you guys' thoughts and observations on this? And Brady, you can jump in here too. Just tell us what you guys are thinking right now after listening to old men rant.
So eager to speak to y'all.
All right, this is Brady back on the phone here. Now, this is to your cohort, Roy. He mentioned, and then you could ask me a follow-up after this if you do want to. But you mentioned that where are the campaign promises? What happened to the campaign promises? Miriam Adelson happened to the campaign promises. The Israel Jewish lobby happened to the campaign promises. She donated, just like she donated to Thomas Massey's rival, who won and unseated him. She donated to Trump $100 million in the election cycle, along with the tech lobby and the little tech AI cohorts as well, in order to get all the defense contracts from the MIC. Now, we could sit here and debate and piddle-pat back and forth about what happened to the mass deportations. They were never going to do mass deportations. They were never going to do that. Trump was never going to do that. We could look back into his first term. Unfortunately, for Trump, yes, he did propose and he did actually push the America First message, the Pat Buchanan message, the America First committee back in the 1930s, pre-World War II, that message. He pushed that message, but he also became what he hated, and that is, in a general term, for the people that are not as informed, would be the swamp. But for people that, and we are on Rumble here, the people that are a little bit more informed, like us here on this call, the viewers on this program, the people that keep up with either foreign media or what have you, is Zog. He became a Zog politician, almost like every other politician that we have had ever since JFK, who ultimately opposed the state of Israel and their illegal nukes. And that could be a whole separate conversation, but the primary focus on all this is the campaign promises. He gave the corporate tax cut. So your individual tax cuts that we all wanted, out the window. Mass deportations, that's like beating a dead horse, out the window. No new wars. He said that he was going to end the war in 48 hours with Ukraine. We are literally in another forever war for the state of Israel just so they could become greater Israel. That is not a conspiracy theory for the viewers on this program. If you look at the IDF soldiers, if you look at all the military men over in Israel, they have greater Israel patches on their military uniforms, and what that symbolizes is they want to be the sole hegemon in the region. There's a reason why we went to war with 7 countries, and at least on paper, they wanted 7 countries in 7 years, but we didn't get that. The only last country on that list was Iran. We went to war and have regime change wars with almost every one of Israel's neighbors, not for our interests. We haven't been attacked. We haven't had sanctions put on us by any other country. And I say this to all the conservatives that are on this program, that have watched this program, that may be in support of the conflict. I understand that. We could disagree on that. That's perfectly okay and fine. But what would happen to you if China, who in my opinion is our true enemy here, not anybody in the Middle East or Russia.
Agree.
China, imagine if China, they put sanctions on us. They start bombing our heads of state. They start bombing our schools. They start killing civilians. How would we feel?
Hold that
That's
thought.
what we're doing over there, unfortunately, and that's what we have been promulgated by as a proxy state.
Hold that thought, Brady.
The state of Israel.
Hold that thought. We're going to continue the conversation. We've got young Republicans from Gwinnett College right after this.
War Room. The people's voice. Keeping you informed. War Room. The people's voice.
All right, guys. Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. Live inside of War Room, Georgia. quite interesting conversation that we're having. But if you want to know what the kids are thinking, or the youth, or the younger generation, I would frame this as, that's why we bring them on the show. This administration has not put America first. Just overall, it's too much. Not enough. I would just say it's not enough domestic policy happening. You know, I was having a conversation yesterday, and I was asked by someone who is near and dear to me. I will say that yesterday, and I was asked, well, what are some of the things that the president is not delivering on? And Brady just went down the same list. Me and him didn't have a conversation about it. Mass deportations. We got rid of Doge, was one of them that we didn't say. Epstein files, just no new wars, just a number of things. And I know sometimes you can't prevent conflict. But I think what's the most frustrating part in this, and go back to my opener, the sovereignty in this. If we decide to enter into a war, whether it's to help a neighbor, to help Israel in the Middle East, or to fight the Ukraine war, this should be a decision that the people of the country make, because we have to live out whatever consequences those will be for engaging in it, whether they're good, bad, or ugly. And you saw the news reports, you saw them come out in front of the TV, Marco Rubio and a whole bunch of them saying, hey, that our hand was forced. At that point is where the sovereignty did not exist in the decision. And if you look at all the things that the president was warned about as far as how to approach this war, and it would not be an easy exit ramp, they've all come true. Trump is a builder. He wanted to fix the economy. And I wanted him to fix the economy. But I've had a number of conversations with Roy offline to say, you know what? God will not honor this nation if we do not deal with the corruption that of the elites in this country. And then Trump turns around and has Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and a bunch of Howard Lutnick, close Epstein affiliates. Why am I talking about this? Because if we would just deal with the heads of the snake, some of these other problems will go away. That's what I honestly believe. The war and all of that. See, the globalists need the war. And I'm not even talking about the people of Israel right now being a large problem, because not too long ago, we had Joe Biden as a president. That did not represent each individual sovereign human being in the United States of America. But we were up under a faulty leadership that was stolen in a stolen election in 2020. That is the truth. Now, I don't trust Netanyahu. I've said it privately to a lot of people. And I believe there's some backroom wheeling and dealing to where they want to crash out America. You know, we were built on the tenets of the Christian nation. That's who we are, you know. And I think that the first pandemic, the plandemic, was to transfer wealth. In this war, I called it wardemic, is to kill the old system, move us over to the digital ID, and everything will be processed in the data centers. You'll have your digital self, and this will move us closer to the mark of the beast that we all want to fight against. And if you're a Christian or you believe in God, you want to fight against that. Now, we know how it's all going to end, but we're supposed to stay on the battlefield trying to defeat this thing until then. So let me get Brady back in here. So not enough domestic policy, too much foreign action, and not keeping the campaign promises. Is this amongst the youth's biggest beefs that they have with the administration right now?
Oh, absolutely. No question. Absolutely no question. And as I alluded to earlier, it doesn't necessarily just solely represent the youth. This solely represents, of course, we have the elder boomer class out there that, you know, rallied around Thomas Massey's opponent here in the previous election yesterday. But in terms of the younger demographic, yes, quite frankly, yes. They are just either too afraid to say it, they don't know how to say it, and sometimes they don't even know that there's a place for them, that they're able to have their voices heard, and that they're able to have a collective around them and to have a soul unifying message and soul unifying belief in an organization, in a mindset that is America first, not the Trump America first. That's not America first. America first has gotten skin-suited by a multitude of people and organizations throughout the course of, in my opinion, history here. But in simplest forms, Trump in that skin-suited America first isn't make America great again. We aren't MAGA. We are America first. Trump's America first is MAGA. Make Israel great again. He doesn't care about America or Americans' interests. He doesn't care about the younger demographic or the working class or, in my opinion, the working poor. There is no middle class. There are the haves and the have-nots. There is the upper class and the upper echelon, and there is the working poor, otherwise known as the working class, the server class, the servants, the serfs. And in any other period of history, there would be the serf class. Unfortunately, here in the modern times, we have the working class, and we have politicians that love to say the rhetoric. They love to connect to the younger demographic and the working class. But once they get into power, we're on Rumble here, they just cuck out to their donor class. They just take all their donor money, all of the private donor money. AIPAC is the biggest lobby.
I was just about to bring up AIPAC.
The most dominant lobby in America currently.
Here's the issue that I take, too, with AIPAC. How can you? It's like you have to pick a side of an issue or by large that you're going to be on. How does an organization fund both sides of the football? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yes. With that, I mean, they do fund both sides, and unfortunately, we are under a uniparty with that in that regard. But it's simplest as this, man. Like, if you don't support the agenda of the PAC, if you don't support Israel's interest, if you do not support foreign interests, specifically Israel, this isn't Iran doing this. This isn't Korea doing this, South or North. This isn't China doing this. This is Israel, the Israel lobby, primarily doing this. Of course, we can get into the tech lobby and little tech. That's a whole separate conversation, but solely finite on AIPAC here. If you don't support, it could be at the federal level, state level, local level, district level, on both sides.
I mean,
of the aisle,
let's talk about the amount of money that was thrown in behind Thomas Massey. That's
a prime example.
Yes, that's a lot of money.
Candidates, the other two elections were one of the highest funded election cycles or elections, and they were both promulgated by AIPAC.
Yeah,
and if my memory serves correctly, they were both Democrats.
Yeah. Thoughts?
32 million on paper, and I think it's going to be a whole lot more. I think whenever the dust.
So let me ask you this, Roy.
No question.
Why are people listed as like anti-Jew if you don't want?
Oh, I could answer all that, right? We could spell that out for you, brother. That is all label lynching. That is all that is. All the anti-Semitic. First of all, anti-Semitic is a fake word. The real Semites are the Palestinians. They're the real Semites. And this isn't a leftist ideologue talking point rant. This isn't none of that. This is literally straight facts and historical facts. The Ashkenazi Jews are not the real Semites. That is just a label lynching. In terms of like the bigoted, all the racist rhetoric, dude, if you're in the right-wing space, you've already been called that probably about more times than you can count for your entire life.
I've been called that in a Democrat just for asking like questions about the president.
Like a subversive. Yeah, so I've heard it all. So literally all you got to do is tune out all that outside noise and all that outside BS, in my opinion. We need to have a unified front. That is what I preach to my constituents and my collective as a whole. That is what I preach to them as a whole, as a unified front.
So let me ask you this, Brady.
Also, can I bring up one more thing?
All right, go ahead.
So, it's House Bill 30. So we did some deep diving, and you actually had a state representative that was state House representative that was running for House. I don't know if she won or not. On your show, on your platform. So with State Bill House 30, almost every Republican except for one voted for it. And it is for the codified in-state law to make anti-Semitism a hate crime. Not only that, a punishable offense in criminal law, either by a fine or a time served in a penitentiary. And of course, that is just furthering the police state, in my opinion. You keep hitting on it. You keep hitting on the data centers. You keep hitting on. I've seen in your program in the past all the flock cameras and all those other systems in the past. All of it collectively, all the anti-Semitism label lynching, all of the flock cameras, all of the AI data centers that are using up all the electricity, raising the water, raising the electricity, raising the cost of living for everybody, not just the younger demographic, but everybody. Also, if you didn't know, that there also were group chat leaks within college Republicans. And I know that you alluded earlier that we are young Republicans. It's happened in young Republicans as well. But within college Republicans, there's been group chat leaks of people saying that they're within the collective of the organization. They take screenshots of privately sent messages that could be deemed as hateful, homophobic, racist, anti-Semitic, what have you. Again,
didn't that happen in Georgia? Yeah, that happened in Georgia.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. And of course, we could talk off air about that as well. I know we're on air. If you want me to, have some dirty laundry unearthed, we could do that on air. But it's up to you. This is your program. But yes, sir, it has happened in Georgia at KSU, at UNG, with us, with me. So. Yeah, this has primarily affected me. So it's not me saying here, as we all know, these are all factual information here. But when it happens to you personally, when you have the label lynching done to you personally, when it affects you personally, and you know how these labels can affect people, it could destroy people's lives. It could destroy people's, jobs, their financial status, their school. You can get expelled from school, like the kids in Florida. Like that one woman in Florida who made a joke in a private group chat about Netanyahu and got arrested for it, because that is actually my home state. I'm originally from South Florida. I'm from West Palm Beach. So just living up here, going to school here, and seeing exactly how it is down there and how they have anti-Semitism in the state law and how that is, how it affects native Floridians. And then you see almost every governor candidate on the Republican side and the GOP supporting H-1Bs and supporting anti-Semitism codified in law. And you see how all of them, not one, all of them are not for our interests. And I understand that we have a runoff election here soon with Rick Jackson and Burt Jones. Now, I'm not going to be voting for either of them. Now, I have my reasons, and I'm not going to promulgate that here on this platform. But if we just look at Rick Jackson, he is a epitome of a hypocrite. And in my personal opinion, you shouldn't. If you're a true conservative, if you're a true nationalist, if you're a true patriot of America and this country, and the blood and soil of this country, its people, its culture, everything in between. And you're not just saying that you're a Republican just to have a career. You're not just saying you're a Republican just to have money in your pocket and to have people like you in your local community, in your local school board, in your local church. If you're a true conservative, you will understand that, and you will not vote for anybody tied to the Trump administration. Anybody that is tied to this administration is not votable at all, period. End of story. I understand that there's going to be people that will be upset by that information and that message, but you have to rip the Band-Aid off. So, if you vote for Vance and Rubio in 28, if anybody on this platform votes for Vance and Rubio, and I understand people have their own opinions and people can make their own choices.
Yeah, so hold on a minute, Brady. So you're saying that since the Trump administration has not delivered on the deliverables, anybody that's been a part of the administration in any capacity, so that's RFK Jr., just any of them, don't support any of them moving forward. Is that the position that you're taking?
Yes, and primarily with that, the main two people that are going to be running are Vance and Rubio, and it's not just as simple as the fact that he didn't deliver. It's the fact that he didn't go far enough, and it's the fact that we are in the. Well, and I will hit on this in a second.
All right, hold on a second. Brady, hold on a second.
If we're just.
Hey, hold on 1 second. All right, let me interject. So we since Trump hasn't done enough domestic policy, we shouldn't participate in all. Are you just saying that's not deal with Republican politics at all? I mean,
it's not that. It's more deeper than that. on top of the domestic issues, it's the foreign issues. It's the fact that we're in the Iran conflict. We could have enough ceasefires.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Hey, hold on a second, Brady. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, Roy.
Okay, I just want to play a sort of a devil's advocate here, right? Because I can't find much disagreement in a lot what you're saying. Now, I'm not ready to give up or anything like that, but could what we're going through right now, okay, possibly be, we're in a spiritual battle. Could some of this be the fact that the providence alone from what we're seeing through Iran, through Donald Trump's actions, whether he is even cognitive of it or not, could it not be that these things must happen in order for everybody to fully understand what is at stake here, what's going on? What's your take on that?
Well, I understand it could be a spiritual battle, but one thing that I wanted to hit on before you brought that up was going to be a skin suiting of the party and the ideologue in general. Of course, we saw Vivek Ramaswamy win the primaryship over Casey Pulsich, and what he said in terms of God and Jesus. And in my opinion, it's the slap to the face of not only Native Americans, but also Christendom as a whole. And that's what we're going to be heading towards if we keep supporting the quote-unquote MAGA. But to hit on what you just talked about, and that's a great point that you brought up, I agree somewhat, but it's more deeper than a spiritual battle in the sense. Yes, it is a spiritual battle, but it's more so a battle with states and nation states. Also, I will hit on this in a sense that you hit on the spiritual battle. We also saw how Trump had an AI picture that he said that he was a doctor. But we could all come to the context clues agreement that he actually was trying to portray himself as Jesus. Now, of course, that is another slap in the face to his base and pretty much everyone that supported him, because of the original America First MAGA message was that promotion of Christianity.
Our family country.
But as I was trying to hit on earlier with the spiritual battle and the nation state issue, it's more deeper than that. Like I said, it's more of a hegemonic transnational group of people that are trying to not only take power in their region, in the sole hegemon of the Middle Eastern region, and use us as a proxy state in order to get that goal, but also implement power structures in each country, including our own, in order to increase their own power structure in their own native state.
Yeah, globalism. So it's
pretty much what you do on the show, globalism.
Yeah, the spiritual part of this is the deepest element. Everything that we see happening in the natural realm is just the tools of them trying to consolidate power, which they've been trying to do from the beginning of time. This is a part of how the Tower of Babel and how the tongues and things got confused, because man has been trying to do this for a very long time. And these are just the instruments. So I agree in part with you. This consolidation, they'll try to use, when I say they, the evil one, try to use any element to consolidate, whether it's the American government, whether it's the Islamic government, which is a faction, whether it's a faction of the Israeli government or whatever, to try to get this new world order. And that's why I brought up the fact of, we had Joe Biden for years. The Israeli people have had Benjamin Netanyahu. Doesn't make each citizen in that country an enemy of the United States or the actual citizen. I believe in my mind that Netanyahu is running around with the globalists, and there's a bigger plan for them to consolidate the power. I don't care for him. That's just my personal stance on this. But I have nothing against the Israeli people, just as I don't have anything against the Uyghurs in China, who have been put in, thrusted into this situation by way of communism. But how do we self-preserve? I think that's to your point. And that's why we should put our country first and take care of our problems. And whosoever the American people decide as a whole, they vote on what they support, how, when, and how. Because at the point where we're not doing that, we don't have sovereignty. That's what God intended when he gave each one of us a soul. And the country's decision as a collective is just a representation of that. That's why I don't like when Trump over involves himself maybe in some election like Massey, because that's what the sovereign people decided. And that's being kneecapped by the tenets of something that looks very king-like. And if you're a Bible guy or read it and understand Genesis, this is what the Israelites wanted in Genesis. They wanted a king like the rest of the nations, instead of being up under God's direct rule in his actual word. Well, in America, we have a constitution. And what are a lot of leaders doing, Roy? They're trashing that constitution. They don't care about the constitution.
They got to do away with it.
They got to do away with it.
Globalism.
And you made a point early in the conversation, Brady, where you said the representatives are now just looking out for themselves. Do you know why? Because they don't want to be up under the direct rule of what the Constitution says. They want to bow the altar of who's in charge, which is the king. Do you see the parallels in that?
Yeah, and one more thing before I give it back. I think one of the biggest problems is, if Donald Trump ran on his campaign promises, everybody was hiding behind that. Yes, Donald Trump. And now that Donald Trump is in for the second term, third term, if you will, he's not running on any of the campaign promises. In fact, he's told everybody to back off of them. And so the same people are saying, yeah, you got to cut him some slack. It's never it seems like we're always bending to the knee of whatever based on who the person is. If we do away with foreign money, right? If we stop giving foreign nations our money and we make everybody register as forward agents, do these very simple things, right? I believe that there should be no dual citizenship on anybody in government. Those simple things would solve so many of these issues, and I think people need to remember that this is a very grown-up discussion here, but we're not moving the needle an inch in the right direction because we will not stop these things.
Yep. So Brady, give us one more minute, and then we got to wrap because the show will toss to a guest host in a few minutes. So give us one more minute and tell people how to follow you.
Well, one more thing. I'll make it very quick and very short here. One thing is I agree with the dual citizenship that Ron brought up. Nail on the head, brother. Nail on the head. There has to be absolutely no dual citizenships in any regard in Congress or any elected official. Again, have to make that distinction. Jews and Zionism are completely different. It's not all Jews. It's Zionism. Zionism is a racial and ethnic doctrine. It's no different than Nazism. I bet we could all agree on that. Racial supremacy in any regard is no good. But lastly, if you guys do want to find us, we are at Georgia Gwinnett College in Lawrenceville. We are a college Republican chapter. If you want to find us on social media, follow us on Instagram. It is GGC_CRS. And what? Also, we will be having events. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's GGCCRS. The S is lowercase. But we will be having a speaker in November. He sometimes is deemed as controversial, but among the right wing is somebody that we could all agree on, that is somebody that has a good message. He has gone to other college campuses. So in November, just be on the lookout for that. We'll also be having some tabling events. Some more speaking events, hopefully some debates with the Democratic Socialists.
All right, 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
I said 10 seconds.
And but again, if you do want to follow us on Instagram, GGC_CRS, Twitter, GGCCRS, all one word.
All right.
Thank you for having us on, and I appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. We'll do it again. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, Brady. All right, Roy, thoughts, comments, observations in the time that we have left.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I had no idea what he was going to talk about.
I didn't either. We have no conversations prior to now. We don't censor speech, so people can come on here. We go back and forth. We debate it out. I'd like to have him back on and talk some more about what the younger people, because he doesn't like to be cast in the youth, because he said this goes across a lot of lines. But just keep the conversation open.
Well, like you said, man, this is what a lot of the younger generations are talking about, getting educated about. The older generations are very in fear of this. The providence, I want to get at the providence of all this, because a lot of this is uncomfortable. I've never in my life thought that I would be researching and educating myself on Benjamin Netanyahu and just how this greater Israel project, and it's very uncomfortable because they are a protected class. And as he said, there's laws right now that are codifying this to basically state, even if a conversation like this happens in the future, that we can be arrested for even talking like this. Now, that in and of itself is an issue with me that everybody should be scratching their head going, wait a second, how can that be possible? These are real issues, and
it goes against free will, Roy.
It does.
That's where I am. The speech, all of that, it goes against free will. There shouldn't be any protected classes. Everybody should be protected the same. That's hands down. No matter what you look like, where you come from. Go ahead, Roy.
Well, if this is, there's very smart people that tell me behind the scenes, hey, you just got to hang on, man. You got to hang on because there is something more to this. And okay. I mean, I'm prepared for that, right? Like we say, I'm a spectator here. I'm not making the decisions. I'm watching this. And right now, I just can't see it, but I'm willing to keep rolling on with it if we do end up somewhere because of the providence alone. You cannot unbox what has already been blasted out of the box.
It's a revelation. And if we don't, I want to end with this because we got probably about 60 seconds left. If we do not have free sovereignty, means being responsible for our own decisions, we don't have free will. No. We don't have free will. If you can't speak and say what you want to say, unless you're planning to cause harm for somebody, talking about committing violence on somebody, then you don't have any free will. And that's worth protecting. Free speech is for the person that we do not agree with. And people have to remember that. I had a guy up in my face one time at a meeting up here in Gwinnett. And I said, hey, no, let him talk. And what he did, Roy, was he painted himself into a corner or whatever. He didn't offend me. I was sad that he was standing there making a fool out of himself. But we got to have free will and sovereignty. Roy, tell people how to follow you in the last 10 seconds we got left.
Small Town Underground on every platform but Facebook, and it's Roy Hambrick. And come on, like, share, subscribe, be a part of the conversation.
All right, guys, we will see you guys next week if we don't take a vacation. Stay tuned for Ann Eubank.